Just as the title indicated, today we are going to take an in-depth look into the new Designs by Angee DIY Bling kit. Now, when I was initially creating this kit, it was for those who want to bling a 20-ounce skinny tumbler, just like this one that you see here. However, as I was breathing life into this kit and as I was showing it to different friends, they helped me realize that you can use this kit for so much more. I mean, you can bling masks, you can bling handheld mirrors, phone grips, makeup brushes, swimsuits. Like, the sky is really the limit when it comes to this kit. And the point behind it was that I know when I initially wanted to make my first tumbler, which this is my first tumbler, I was confused. I didn't know what glue to use. I didn't know what materials I needed. And so I decided to create a kit that kind of eliminates the confusion. You don't have to spend hours scouring Amazon and asking in a whole bunch of, Facebook groups, what do I do? This kit kind of answers that question for you. So let's just jump right in and we'll see all of the contents of the new Designs by Angee DIY Bling kit. While the idea behind the kit might have changed, the contents of the kit have stayed the exact same. You receive one box of your main stone, which is either SS16 or SS20. You receive a box of filler stones, your tweezers, your wax picking pen, glue, and a glue syringe. So let's take a deeper look into each item that you receive. You may be asking yourself, what exactly does she mean by the main stone? So we'll stick to tumblers for now, just to make it easy. So when you're making a rhinestone tumbler, you can do it between one of two ways. Either the scattered method, where you're using a bunch of different size rhinestones, or you can use the honeycomb method, where you pick one main stone, and that's really the stone that you want to cover the entire project. So when you're choosing your Designs by Angee Bling kit, you can choose between either an SS16, which is 4mm, or SS20, which is 5mm rhinestone. Your rhinestones will come in a clear plastic box as such, and it will be labeled on the top what kind of rhinestone that you're getting. Now, there are a lot of different rhinestones in the world. For cost effectiveness and shininess, I prefer to use glass rhinestones. So every rhinestone that you receive in your kit will be a glass rhinestone. I just think it gives a lot more shine, particularly in the sun. If you've ever seen this on my Instagram page and where I show it in the sun, it's just absolutely amazing. But then also, here's the 5mm bling, and again labeled as such with 5mm on the top. So what you would do is you just flip this little tab here, open your kit, and they're ready to use. Now, if you're working on something outside of a tumbler, or if your tumbler is tapered, or maybe you just want to do a scattered method on the lid of your tumbler, that is where your filler stones come in. And that is what you receive in here. This is your filler stone tray. This tray will be filled with stones from SS3 to SS16. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, if I get an SS16 kit, why do I need SS16 filler stones? And technically you wouldn't, but this filler tray is also going in the SS20 kit. And I just wanted to make sure that if you're using SS20 and you need that one size down just to fit in that small space, that you have those available. Now, SS3, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 1.2mm, and then again SS16 goes up to 4mm. So you literally have like every stone in between to make sure that you are filling in every space. And I'll give you a closer look at using filler stones a little bit later in this video. Next, we have here the wax pickup pen and the tweezers, both which can be used to place your stones and rearrange them on whatever project that you're working on. Now, I will be the first to admit that I am very stubborn and I used to only do my projects with tweezers. But I started using a wax pickup pen and I promise I will never go back. So this is the box that your wax pickup pen will come in. Inside the box, you open it and it has a little styrofoam piece to cover it. But this is the actual pen. All of them have the black wax tip and then it has the 2 replacements, right? So the pen out of the box looks as such. This is the side that you would use to pick up your stones, and then this is the side that you would use to, push your stones around on whatever project that you're working on. And they last a while. They last a pretty good length of time. And then you just keep it safe in your box. And then these are the tweezers. All of the tweezers come with this little protective cover on the top because they are precision tip. They are quite sharp. Like if you look at them, very, very sharp indeed. These I use, when you're working on a project, a lot of the time, specifically with the tumblers, you're spreading the glue on the area and then you're putting the stones in that glue area one by one. But sometimes the stones might drop where they're not supposed to in the glue, and you don't want to be pushing the stone around because then you're pushing around the glue and you have to re-glue and it's just a whole thing. So you can use the tweezers to just pick it up out of that spot, put it where it's supposed to go, and you can even use the tweezers to bring glue back in that little area where the stone fell in the first place. So that's your pickup pen and your tweezers. Lastly, we have the glue syringe and the glue. So let me first show you the syringe. The syringe is as such. It is a 5 milliliter plastic syringe. It comes with a 16 gauge tip, and the tip just screws on. It screws on and off. So you don't have to use it. If you find that whatever you're working on, this 16 gauge is too small, you can just take it off and squeeze the glue directly out of here. You don't have to use the tip. Now it does say single use only, and I think that's just something that they put on any type of syringe, whether it be for crafting or medical purposes. This is not for medical purposes. This is specifically to be used with the adhesive that I provide you, or any adhesive that you decide that you want to use on your project. But the point of me pointing that out is that it's not single use. I get about, I want to say 5 or 6 good uses out of my syringes. The point that I decide to stop using them is when this gasket here, this black piece, is no longer tight inside of the reservoir. So this is the plunger. You put the plunger into the reservoir because it's the only word I can think of right now. But when this here is no longer tight against the sides, what happens is it'll just push right through the glue and you've basically just wasted the glue that's in there. So I would say about 5 good uses out of this for your projects. Now, as far as the actual adhesive that I provide with the kit, I provide Liquid Fusion. This is Aleene's Liquid Fusion. It is a heavy-duty adhesive for porous or non-porous surfaces. What you might be working on might be non-porous, like a tumbler, or it might be porous, like a wood project or a mask. And this glue is universal to those projects. Now, I do use this for the Bling tumblers that I make and sell. I have used it for a Bling mask. So I do trust the adhesive. However, if you have a specific adhesive that you would like to use, I know some people like to use Gem Tack. There is E6000. If you're doing nails, you might want to use your own nail glue or acrylic, or whatever you use to adhere the stones to the nails. You are more than welcome to use that adhesive. I just provide this as an alternative, or as for, you know, something for someone to use who has never done a bling project before. And it'll come wrapped just like this in its original packaging, so you'll be able to see all the safety precautions. You'll be able to see all of the different type of surfaces that you can use this on. You know, just make sure you read the package before you know, rip it off and throw it away. So what I want to show you here is just me using the different items that do come in your DIY bling kit. So this cup that I'm working on is a 30-ounce dome slurp tumbler that I purchased from Hog. And the first thing I want to show you guys is what I meant earlier by the honeycomb method. So if you look at these stones, what I did first is I did my first line of stones all around the rim, and then the stones that go in the second line would sit in the space of the stone above it, and you would just continue to follow that pattern. And they call it honeycomb because it resembles a beehive, the honeycomb beehive. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. The second thing that I wanted to point out is, I just want to make sure that I actually get it in the shot for you guys and make sure that you can see it. Right there. So if you see this diagonal line of stones, and I didn't do it intentionally diagonally, it's just kind of how the stones are falling since this is a tapered cup. But you can see that diagonal line of stones, and it's smaller. Those are the filler stones. So when you're working on a cup like this, which is tapered, meaning bigger on the top, smaller on the bottom, all of the stones are not really going to fit in a uniform fashion as much as you want them to, because the space is getting smaller. Eventually the stones, they're just not going to fit how you want them. So that's where the filler stones come in, and they just, I mean, it's the same color and they just match so perfectly, so that when you're really looking at it, if I had not pointed it out to you, you would not know really that they're there. And that's in person and in video. And there are multiple other spots as I'm turning this. There's multiple other spots where those filler stones are being used as well. But again, you can't really tell. So let me just show you here. This is my glue syringe. It already has glue in it. One of the things that I do like about using liquid fusion in the glue syringe is that if you're working on a project and you need to stop and maybe pick it up the next day, the glue doesn't dry out in the syringe. When I used to use E6000, the glue would always dry out and I would waste so much glue. But now it doesn't dry out. I can use the entire plunger and, you know, I'm good. So this is the glue inside of the syringe. When you fill it up, and I probably should have done this on camera, but I was working last night and I didn't know I was going to do this today. But when you fill the plunger up, make sure that you do not fill the entire thing. I would say fill it to about the 5 milliliter line. Which you'll be able to, my plunger is hiding it right now, but there you go. Fill it to about the 5 milliliter line, so that when you do stick the plunger inside, it can, there's this little point here that kind of keeps it inside to keep it from just, you know, coming out. And if you fill this all the way up and then you try to put the plunger inside, you will again waste so much glue, and you don't want to do that. So that's that on filling that in. So I'm just going to do a line of stones just to show you how easy it is to use a wax pickup pencil when applying your rhinestones. So typically, let me see if, okay. So typically what I'll do is I'll just take my plunger and give myself a nice line of glue. And it doesn't dry out quickly. It's another reason why I like liquid fusion. It doesn't dry out quickly. So if I wanted to go all the way around this cup with this line of glue, I probably could. but I won't. So you can see I have my line of glue. And then what you do now, you just take your wax pickup pen. You already have your stones here. And you just pick up and go. Using the wax pickup pen, it saves so much time over using, what's it called? Tweezers. So I'm gonna have to fix something. I need to wipe off my wax. So again, I was working on this last night. When your wax starts to do that, where it's not picking up as well as it should, if you have any type of surface that you can wipe it on, I like to wipe it on some type of fabric. You can wipe it on that and it'll clean up the wax. So let me just clean up my wax right quick so that it just picks it up nice and easy. And I'm actually going to, I didn't realize I was right next to a filler stone space. I'm gonna go back and fix that as soon as I get these other stones on. Okay, so right here, if you can see this little line right here, these are actually filler stones. I didn't know that were there, so I'm just going to use my tweezers, take out this stone, which is not going to fit there. And then I know my tray looks different, but I buy my stones in bulk and then reuse old trays. You guys are getting brand new trays that I bought specifically for you. So I am going to use, let's see, I believe this is SS6. SS6 is too small, so let's try SS8. Sometimes the wax picks up more than one. So SS8. SS8 works. And then take a SS3 and fill in a next gap that is like right below it. And that's that. Can you even can you really tell that I'm using fillers in that spot? If you hadn't seen me put it there. So when I do tapered cups, I actually go line by line, only because I know I'm going to run into that issue because the cup is tapered. Typically, if I'm working on a straight cup, I'll do a couple lines at a time. Like I'll go up with my glue till maybe about like right here. I'll go over and do a huge block and then fill up stones in that entire spot. But that's just an example of using the glue and the glue syringe and the tweezers and the wax, like everything that comes in the kit, you will be able to use for your project. That's it, guys. That is everything that you need to know about the new Designs by Angee DIY craft kit. It is available right now for purchase on my website, designsbyangee.com. It is in the ready to sell section, but I will drop that link down below in the description to this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, whether it be about the kit or if you just have questions about making any type of rhinestone project, definitely feel free to ask me in the comments. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Happy crafting.